the journalist Gideon Levy on Sky News. That's the British cable stuff. This is from Saturday.
He's written great stuff in Haaretz.
Yeah. And it gives it sets up this other clip that we have as well. But the Israeli population polls somewhere in the 80s as to their desire to basically flatten Gaza. And even they don't have a huge amount of love for Benjamin Netanyahu, but they're on the same page in terms of what they want to have happen in Gaza. Here is Levy saying that that number is probably sustained in part because they really don't have an idea of what is going on in Gaza at this point. And it's sort of difficult for us to wrap, for me, to wrap my head around that. But when you contemplate how half a population in this country can be in a media bubble that allows them to have a completely different narrative about some of the most basic facts, like this Civil War, for instance, it becomes clear because, as Levy says here, that like there is no room for dissent in Israeli society at this moment.
Is an overall support in Israel for continuing the war. The scenes that you are exposed in the UK and elsewhere are not shown here in Israel, systematically, not by the media, voluntarily, not by the media. But most of the Israelis are not exposed to what you are exposed. And therefore, it's much easier to support this war without having any moral doubts about the outcomes. And what you can see in international networks or in networks like yours is so horrifying that you really ask yourself for how long and how long will this support go on? Because the support, no critic about this war, no question marks, no resistance, no opposition, nothing. Israel supports this war from wall to wall. Yes, sure, the figures are published, but figures are only figures. It's, it's all about the framing. You can give figures, they might shock you, but Israel is really concentrated. It's in own sacrifice, its own mourning, its own care about the hostages, and all this is very understandable and human. But as long as you don't see the scenes, you cannot understand what is Israel doing to Gaza right now. And therefore, there is this apathy. And more than this, that even to pay some kind of empathy with Gaza, with the pain of Gaza, solidarity with Gaza is almost criminal now in Israel, and you might be taken to court and to justice.
And to be clear, that's not hyperbole. You have, throughout this 2 months or 3 months it's been since October 7th, we've seen like Israeli teachers who have been called in and questioned about stuff they put on social media. We've seen this happen with journalists. I mean, all throughout Israeli society, you need to toe the line. And lastly, before we go to break, let's play this clip. I don't know if people are aware of this, but Israel is a conscript nation. You turn 18, you go to the army, unless you have some type of religious exemption or some other activity. But everybody goes to the army in the way that, like, you graduate junior high, you go to high school here.
Yeah. It plays a huge part in how militarized and radicalized the society is.
And this has always been the case. And it is also, I think, very much romanticized in Israeli society. Israeli society, to the extent that there's still a secular communitarian vibe in Israel. Much of the sort of like the strands of socialism that were there in the early days and expressed in kibbutz kibbutzim life has been sort of the last vestige, the last greatest vestige, I guess, to be more specific, is in the military. And so and I think I saw some response to this, to the extent that I followed it over the course of last week, that what this guy was doing, it's easy to sort of overpraise him. But I think it's also easy for us in the United States to not fully understand the implications of an 18-year-old publicly saying, I'm not going into the army because of these reasons. It is in a society that is 80% supportive of what is going on. And aside from that, the support for the military in Israel and going into this is
an act of bravery.
Yeah. Oh, yes. But I'm saying the expectations are, I don't think we have anything equivalent, frankly, in this country to to going into the military in the way that they do.
I mean, and the kid is 18. We're about to play a hero. And I can't think of a time in your life when social pressure is more pronounced from your peers than when you're 18 years old. So it's the societal pressure and then the social pressure and the romanticization of it. And the fact that all of his friends are probably getting conscripted as well. That's what just is so moving to me about this act of
and his
defiance.
bubble. He appeared on Hassan's Twitch stream, I believe, with Noah Colwyn, and that when we had Ilan Pappy on, it talked about how we need the messages to come from outside of Israel, because for the messages within are just let's continue the bombing campaign. Maybe there's a problem with Netanyahu, and this kid has gotten those messages and is talking, converse with people. So being supportive of people like this kid standing up like this, I think is really important.
Check this out. Yeah, I think at that point he's heading off to jail. 30 days in jail.
Tal Mitnick is his name.
More people should follow him.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break, head into the first fun half of 2024, which is a great opportunity for us to remind you that it is your support that makes this show possible. We need members to be able to do what we do on a daily basis. If you listen to the show once, twice a week, become a member. Go to jointhemajorityreport.com.